Hey guys, welcome back to Tethan Props. Today I'm going to show you how I went about making this gauntlet. So this gauntlet is a Nazgul Gauntlet that looks a lot like Sauron's gauntlet. And I can put my hand in it, which is really awesome. And it's got a really nice sound. So that's exactly what you want from a gauntlet. So this is made from aluminium, 0.6mm thick, so it's quite thin, but it still feels really nice and has got a little bit of weight to it. So it has some nice connections in between, so it gives quite nice movement in the wrist joint, and the fingers, perfect movement, no issue there. And my thumb even has a hinge there. So let's get to how I started making this. So to start this Nazgul Gauntlet or Ring Wraith Gauntlet, I've got some free templates. So I downloaded these from Tested or Punished Props because these were free templates supplied by Adam Savage and Bill Duran over at Tested and Punished Props. So they did a collaboration where they made a foam version of the Nazgul Gauntlet, and they provided these for free. So I've downloaded them, marked them up where they're going, and now I've got to transfer these onto my metal, but I'll first cut them out. These were designed to be on EVA foam, but I'm hoping that it all translates nicely over to my metal. So if it doesn't, I might have to alter parts a little bit here or there for them to work, but I've got all the parts here that I think I need. So first thing I need to do is cut them out of the paper, then I'll transfer them onto the metal and cut them out from there. So that is all the parts cut out, ready to start transferring. So I've got this nice piece of 0.6mm aluminium sheets. So the pattern on this is similar to what Sauron has on his gauntlets. The Ring Wraith gauntlets are actually quite smooth metal, but I thought this would look really cool, something a little bit different, and it's kind of like a mix up between Sauron and a Nazgul gauntlet. So what I've got to do now is transfer all of these onto this, and then I'll start cutting it out. Alrighty, so that's all drawn out. What I'm going to do first, before I start cutting it all out, is all these little drill holes everywhere. I think it's going to be a lot easier to drill those while it's all in one piece. So I'm going to go ahead and drill all those holes now and then start cutting out. So I'm going to show you how to put together one of the fingers. So the fingers have a few different parts. We've got the end, and then the bit that goes second from the end, and then for a normal finger you have 5 of these spiky ones. So they all need to be bent into the right shape. So I'm just going to start off with these using pliers. Just give them a little bit of curve. You don't want too much, just enough, so that they can kind of slot over each other. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on 5 for each finger. Alrighty, so that is all the pieces for one finger bent. I've got my strap of leather here, which is what I'm going to be riveting each of the finger pieces onto. So what I need to do is, as I go along, I'll just cut a little hole, which I can then slide the pop rivet through. So as I said, I'm going to be pop riveting these in place. So I have these 1.6 5mm pop rivets, which are the smallest ones I could find because you don't want them too bulky for doing something like this. If I pop rivet them top down, they will probably slide out of the leather, which means I need to do them bottom up. And because the way that these finger pieces are layered, you won't actually see the back side of the pop rivet if I do it this way. So you might be thinking why I'm doing it from the back, but it's just because I don't want the leather sliding off the pop rivet. And there we go, so that is a finger done. And I've got a lot of excess here because I'll probably have to use that to connect the fingers on later. But that's one, let's go and do some more. So for these 3 fingers, you have 5 of these small parts, but for the thumb and the little finger, you only have 4. So I've got to do 2 now that only have 4 of these. So there's all the fingers and the thumb done. They look really good. It's time to move on to the next part. So I'm going to work on the knuckle next. So the section that goes across here, which I think I then can start joining the fingers to. So we'll figure that out. So I've got the knuckles here. I've already started bending a few of these, but essentially they're cut in specific spots, so you can pretty easily tell where they need to be bent. So just using the pliers to try and get some crisper bends. And as you go, you might need to make like small adjustments to pieces, and that is fine to do. There we go, so that'll be the top knuckle section like that. And the other thing that these knuckles have are spikes on them, just like this. So if this is on your hand like that, you'll have knuckles that go over the top, or knuckle spikes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make little brackets like this that will go on the inside to hold it together. And then while I'm riveting those on, I can chuck the spike on there and rivet all 3 pieces together. So I've got to go bend all the spikes, figure out where they all go, make all these little brackets, and then I drill the holes, and then I can start riveting. So now I want to do a little bit of work on the thumb. So the thumb is in 2 pieces so that you can get a bit of a angle to it. So I've had to cut it up a little bit to try and get the right size, but I think I can start putting this together. So again, just using rivets to put it together. So I'm going to start working on the parts that go up the forearm. So I've already done one here, and as you can tell, we're adding ridges in. So it's not the easiest thing to do, but I have my original patterns that have the lines where it needs to bend, and I've transferred those onto the metal. So essentially, wherever there's a line, that needs to be a peak, which means I need to make it a bit of a trough there, and then it needs to peak back where that line is. So I'm just going to go ahead and just slowly move along and add that in for these 3 lines on this one. So there we go, you can see the 3 ridges added on there. I might go back with a stake and a hammer and just kind of crisp up those lines. That's essentially what we need to do. So I've got quite a few pieces to do. These ones. So I'm going to go ahead and do all these, get them ready, and then keep working on the rest of it. So I can start putting a few of these bits together. So these plates all stack over each other. You can see that they all line up quite nicely, and with those pre-drilled holes, I can just quite easily add in the rivets. So now I can do the same with these ones as well. Alright, so I've got the main parts of the body all ready. These are going to take a bit of bending and alterations to get them to fit when I've got to put them together, but essentially this will go on there. We've got a joiner plate and then this. So let's start putting this together. I think I'm going to start at the front here and work my way back. So it's still got really good movement. You can see it flexes quite a lot, so that'll account for movement of the wrist. Perfect. It actually fits on very nicely. Alright, so I think it's time to start attaching fingers. Now to figure out a way to attach these fingers on. So what I've done is I've drilled holes underneath where each of the fingers will connect on. So that's why I've got all this overhang of the leather to allow me to do this sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is cut a hole in the leather, and then I can rivet it in from the other side just like I did with the fingers. So it's time to try and start attaching this to my black welding glove that I have. So black welding glove that has some yellow outlines around it. So I've gone over with a permanent marker to make it all black, and this is what the gauntlet will be attached to. So the way that I've come up with to do that is I've got these little leather rings that I've made and drilled a hole through. So I'm going to attach those at the end of each finger, and that'll slide in there, and then I'll have a couple other straps that'll go around the whole thing. But let's start with these fingers, and then I've also drilled an additional hole in each of the ends, which I'll then pop rivet in. Alright, so after a bit of adjusting, I've got the fingers in a spot where I like them. So these leather straps here, what I'm going to do is glue those to the actual glove just with a bit of glue, and that should keep them in place. Alright, so for the thumb, I need to make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to connect the thumb up there, glue that on, and that should be the thumb done. So for the thumb piece, or the thumb hinge, I've got this, which is going to be the basis of what the actual hinge connects to. So I'm just going to cut this in half. And then this hinge, I'm going to use smaller hot rivets and just rivet it onto both sides. And now to connect the thumb with the hinge onto the actual gauntlet. So I'm just going to drill out, mark out where I need to drill the holes. Alright, time to put it on and then glue the thumb loop in place on the glove. So I need to have a strap that goes across the palm. So it'll go across here like that, and it means that it holds the back down to your actual palm. So this bit will need to be a bit thicker than just a normal bit like this. So what I'm going to do is fold and glue one of these in half. So now I just need to connect this strap from here across to here. perfect. So that holds it together really well, and that feels like it's quite solid. Alrighty, next thing I need to look at is connecting this to this. So this is going to be on a hinge piece. It'll come over, then I have these straps to then tighten it up. Alrighty. I think the first thing I need to do is work on the hinge mechanism. So it's going to hinge from this side across that way, because let's say you're putting this on, you need your other hand to tighten it up. If it's on the other side, it'd be really awkward to tighten up. So the hinge piece will be on that side, coming across, and then we'll sort out the locking mechanism there. So to do the hinge section, I'm going to use the same hinges that I used on the thumb there. So I've got a whole stack of them here. So I think 2 will be sufficient. There'll be 1 here and 1 here. Alright, so time to start working on the strap that closes this. So I've got this brown strap that will just do perfectly. So I'm going to hide the rivet that I attach it under here between the joint and the 2 plates, and then that'll slide up like that, and you'll just lock it in, and I'll probably rivet this down across there. Alright, that's pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and drill the holes for connecting it onto this side, and then we'll rivet it in with 2 rivets just so it's nice and strong. Put it in upside down. Alright, gotta remove these 2, this one again, and then start over. Alright, I'm back to where I was before I put this on upside down. So the next part I need is simply just the strap. It'll go in, and then just lock like any other normal strap. So to mark out where I need all the rivets to go, I'm just going to assemble it. Alright, let's give it a try. Alrighty, so that is the gauntlet construction pretty much done. So you can see I've got nice strapping around the hand here, so it stays together quite nicely. I've got good movement. You can see I can still flex the wrist there, and it feels really good, to be honest. Really nice padding. I've got the strap to hold it in there. So I've had to do a few adjustments, like I removed a couple finger pieces from here and from here just to make it fit a bit nicer, and I've had to just do a lot of bending. Luckily this is all aluminium, so it bends quite easily, so if I need to I can kind of adjust the size and the shape a tiny bit to make it fit better. But yeah, that is the construction done. Really happy with how that's turned out. So obviously this is nice bright shiny silver, which is not what a ring wraith's glove looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock off the glove as much as I can, the strap here, and then give it a coat of black. And then I'm going to go back and scuff it up, and then it'll be finished. Alrighty, let's get to painting. Alright, so the black paint is done, and that's looking really great. Yeah, stoked with how this looks. What I have to do now is go over with 150 grit sandpaper over the entire thing, especially on the highlights and everywhere like that, and that'll make it look scuffed, old, and yeah, it should give a really nice effect. So I'm going to start going over it and we'll see how it goes. So that's all the scratches done. Looking really good. And now it's time to take my brown paint and I'm gonna add in some rust everywhere. Make it look even more worn and used. So this will be pretty straightforward, just putting in dirt in all the nooks and crannies and then just going in with a paper towel and rubbing off any excess. Alrighty, so that is the brown added. Might be a subtle difference on camera, but in person, it really adds an extra level of age to the gauntlet. So incredibly happy with how that looks. Alright, I think that might be it, guys. And there we go, guys. So that is my Nazgul Gauntlet. Looks more like Sauron's gauntlets, but really like how that has turned out. So the little detailing over the whole thing just looks awesome. So from the last footage that you saw, I just ended up going and sanding over the whole thing because I think it looked a little bit too much like crocodile skin with the lots of black that was all over it. So I went and sanded the whole thing and I'm really happy with how that's turned out. So I'm happy that I went and did all that extra sanding. So to simply put this on, you take off the latch. Way. Insert your arm and then do the latch up. Just like that. And the best thing is it makes a really nice noise. So I've got really nice movement in the wrist here. So I made these all with looser pot rivets so that they can actually move in between themselves and it gives quite nice movement. So really happy with how that's turned out. So I can quite easily grab things, no issue at all. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build. I think I might actually start doing some more metal working because I really enjoyed this. This is the first thing that I've made out of metal and I'm just, yeah, really happy with how it's turned out. And it's cool to have a bit more of a durable prop rather than 3D printing or foam or whatnot. So really happy to start getting into some metalworking. All right, hope you enjoyed and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.